What is up, you guys? I feel like we are just gonna get right into it because I have a total of over 150,000 followers on social media, and my sales don't always reflect that. I feel like this is something people don't really talk about, honestly, and especially in the small business space. So I'd figure I'd like to talk about that while we pack some orders today. Today's pack and chat is bittersweet because although things have been very, very slow, it reminds me that there are other things to be grateful for. The fact that I get to work from home and do what I love to do. Also appreciate these times. Tell myself that these are the perfect moments that I can work on the back end of my business. I think there's this assumption that once you grow an audience, sales just naturally follow. Once you hit a certain number, it's supposed to feel stable or consistent. And when that doesn't happen, it can feel really confusing. And because on the outside, it looks like everything is going well. There has been times that my videos are doing really well. Views are up, engagement is up, and then I'll check my orders and it just doesn't match. And I used to take that really personally, like I was doing something wrong or missing something. But I've realized it's actually more nuanced than that. I think the first thing is that not all views are equal. A lot of people are just watching content to relax, to scroll, to pass time, especially with ASMR content. People love it. They're not always in a buying mindset. So you can have a lot of visibility without having high intent of buying. Something I've been really thinking about a lot lately is how the algorithm pushes content. It pushes what people will watch, not necessarily what people will buy. You can go viral to the wrong audience for your product, which is great for growth. Not saying it isn't, but it doesn't always convert to sales. I've had multiple videos go viral on social media. I even had a video hit 1 million views. And in the span of that video hitting 1 million views, the product in that video barely made a sale. And that was my first reality check. Because there's also a big difference between content that performs and content that converts. Something can look really aesthetic, really satisfying, but it's not always guiding someone to your product. It's just content. And I think that's something I'm still learning. By the way, I make the cutest freebie gift note. Anytime you leave a gift message on an order, I will make it into a cute little gift note. Another thing I realized is possibly having an audience mismatch. Where you can build an audience that loves your content, but they might not be your ideal customer. And that doesn't mean they're the wrong audience. It just means they're there for a totally different reason. I feel like that's what my crafting videos do. I think they bring in an audience of DIY creators, and I love that because I come from that type of audience before starting my small business and the beginnings of doing my small business. And honestly, from time to time, I still watch those type of videos. I love them. But that is the audience that I'm bringing to my page when I do a DIY crafting video. Although it's ASMR content, although yes, I'm showing off my products in the videos, I am bringing on an audience that wants to do the same thing I do and not necessarily want to buy the products from my shop, from my video. And I won't lie to you, it can feel pretty discouraging because you're putting in all this work, you're showing up, you're growing, but your sales don't always reflect that growth. And it kind of messes with your perception of progress. Like, am I actually growing or does it just look like I am? So I've been trying to reframe it. Growth and sales aren't always on the same timeline. And having an audience is still valuable. It just means I need to be more intentional with how I connect with them instead of just creating to create. And I'm learning to be okay with that. I'm learning to readjust and regroup, per se, when it comes to my audience. And in a funny, real way, it brings me back to my roots, back to why I started. When I first started my small business, I'm going to say the first year, it was all about connection for me. I was so excited about building an honest community with real people that I enjoyed talking to every day, instead of creating just to create. Or I should say, creating to make sales. So as I relearn to be more intentional with my content, that has been my main focus. Talking more about my products, showing how they're used, and not being afraid to actually sell. Because I think a lot of us hold back on that. I definitely come from having imposter syndrome. Sometimes I still struggle with it. Finding myself worried about what other people think, or comparing my work to other creators, especially creators who have either the same or a bigger following than myself, or creators who don't have big of a following but I see are making a bunch of sales every single month. And that for me has been an ongoing struggle from time to time. The last 3 years I've been in business. I'm still learning. I'm still growing, and I love that. I love that I'm always taking some new information as I go, because that's what this journey is about. If you're a small business owner going through exactly what I'm going through in this case, just know that having a following doesn't automatically mean you'll have consistent sales. And it doesn't mean you're failing either. It just means there's another layer to learn, like marketing, messaging, and understanding your audience. Let's take a pause really quick and adore this cute magnetic bookmark I had a customer order. I love this little spooky season duo mix that she ordered, even in the spring. I love a spooky order all year round. And let's give a little ASMR click, because that's the best. Which one's your favorite side? This one's a new one that just came in my shop recently. Love. Now these have been my best-selling bookmarks. And I'm thinking of making more minis like this in different colors. What do you think? I feel like the next question after this whole spiel is, what do you actually do when your sales are low? How do you stay consistent? How do you stay motivated? How do you still show up when things are tough, slow, when you feel like you're just ready to give up? I might be making part 2, because I feel like that's a whole different conversation. I just wanted to be honest about this part of running a small business, especially when you have a certain expectation, when you grow your following and you see that although you're growing in one aspect of your business, the one that you thought would grow, especially probably the purpose on why you started a small business, is not growing. Showing this part is just the reality of it. And being able to be honest about it makes what I do give more purpose to why I started a small business, not just to make sales, but also to help others going through this journey answer the questions that I had when I first started. I used to dream about having a business with the amount of followers that I currently have, thinking, wow, that's what life is going to look like for me. And seeing that that wasn't or hasn't necessarily been the case in my experience, at least not consistently, makes me realize, okay, this is normal. And seeing other creators who also have big followings or even bigger followings get 0 sales some days makes me feel a little bit less crazy, a little bit more normal, and takes away that feeling of self-sabotage just a little bit. If you are currently beating yourself up about it, please don't. Know that we are on the same boat and that all of this is temporary, and that it doesn't always mean that it's over or done for, or that your business is crap, or whatever you want to think. It just means it's time to pivot. Be more intentional with what you're doing, and to understand if doing this for an honest reason you won't give up. You'll keep pushing forward and you'll figure it out. And you'll look back to this time and realize, wow, that's why this needed to happen. Because everything happens for a reason. And for me currently, just means I need to start making more thank you cards because I'm almost out. And to give you a quick, honest visual of what I got going on here, this is how many orders I got in a week. I remember I used to dream about having this many orders in a week. And I think, again, this is what this teaches you if you're going through this, is that you remember where you wish you'd be. And when you get there, you raise the bar again and you forget to appreciate that this used to be the dream. So know that that has not gone unnoticed for me. I definitely do appreciate, like I said, every single order because this was the dream for me. And it still is me living the dream. Goals change, and that's the part of growth. Anyway, if you're still watching, I very much so appreciate every single one of you. And let me know, are you in the same boat? Do you have the same thoughts? Did this make you feel a little less than of what you've been feeling? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.